Adam is an anonymous donor. Not very anonymous though. Not for us, because we know him. Adam's great. Love Adam. He just wants to donate to a cause. He just likes causes. He doesn't really want to follow things. He just wants to know that it's going somewhere and be able to look it up maybe later, but he's not going to participate in any way. Adam's just going to throw the money in and watch that it goes somewhere. We'll call him, he's more of a passive acceptance kind of guy. And we'll go through his story. It's really short. He sends his money in, Ether. He is assigned a delegate. He gets an email. Doesn't even look at it. Doesn't care. And then the delegate sends his stuff out. So we'll call this delegate David. Good old Dave. So David's going to send it to another guy and to another guy. There'll be lots of emails generated. Adam doesn't care at all. He just sent an Ether. He wants to make sure it goes to a good place. And then it's going to, and then eventually when it does get spent by a campaign, he gets tokens. He gets a kind of, I don't know what kind of tokens these are. We'll call them reward tokens right now, but it's not at all. They're more like governance tokens. And that's his story. I don't know, is there more to this story? It's my first attempt at a user story.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Wojtek, take the lead.
Well, can we narrow down the interaction with the system?
Yeah, he does nothing.
Sure, but the system does something.
Oh, the system definitely does lots of stuff. But
so
his story,
that's the important part.
But his story is just donating.
But I think that he, even he's not looking and he's not watching.
Yeah.
He at some point should be able to see where his money is.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that he should need like I don't know if maybe it's a year report, or maybe it's that he connects to the system once a year, and he should see like a map. I understand that he should see a map and a list of causes that he has. Okay.
So that'd be a perfect example of the story. Adam logs in 3 years later and sees a list of this stuff. You know, that's one story that you can make into UI requirements, and we can build UI up for that one story. Which might be part of the bigger story.
Yeah, we see 3 years, or maybe we see the next time that he wants to donate.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like he cares on that, and he will be in the system in some way. He will come back.
Here's the thing: Adam doesn't care about where his money goes.
Yeah, but he cares. Everybody cares.
No, Adam does not care. That's who he is. This guy doesn't care. He actually just wants to donate to children, and he trusts the system, and it's nice, but he does not care.
Yeah, but he cares for the children.
He cares about children.
But if he should care, that the money goes more or less to the system. What happens?
Well, there's lots of people who care. Adam doesn't.
Yeah, but what happens if the money goes to
okay.
This way of both start off with that.
Okay. Okay. So I'm illustrating Adam as the passive acceptance guy, so that we can design for him, because honestly, this is most charity donors right now. When you donate to Salvation Army and because Santa's ringing a bell, you throw some money in, are you checking on anything? I mean, Adam is actually the real donors that exist right now, at least by numbers, for sure.
So we could say Eve. Eve could be another person, and she does care.
Eve definitely cares, man. Eve is a superstar. She's actually the person who doesn't donate to charity because she doesn't know where her money goes, and that bugs the hell out of her. And this is kind of who we're catering more towards, honestly. At least this is like who we're building the system for. Although we have to cater for Adam too, which is why it's probably like probably better that when someone comes back to check their system, they go straight to the donation page. And, that's, yeah.
My argument is that Adam actually wants to be. I think that any donor actually wants to know, but they just don't have the means.
Some people tithe for
But-
charity, right? There's 10% because God told me to. And I don't really care. I just do what God says, And that's a lot of people, really.
Me, I every year send $120 to Doctors Without Borders,
Yeah.
and I'm not checking what they're
Do
doing.
when
I
you-
just trust on them.
When you go to their donation page, do you want to see pop-ups about what they're doing, or do you just want to get that donate button?
They send me one time per year a report of everything.
No. Yeah. So Adam still gets a yearly report.
Yeah.
Whether he opens the email or not. Who knows?
I usually don't do. No, I never read.
Yeah, but
But,
something.
yeah, but it's nice to recite it.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
gets lots of emails because his money's moving around all the time.
I think you need to have some kind of check because maybe imagine that you throw money, for donation or something, and maybe the money goes to a weapons company. You need to be aware that more or less. So I'm not thinking that you go in detail and so on, but you
Yeah.
see that more or less the things are going on, and I think you need like a check. Once every 3 months, once every year, or once every 3 years. Okay, all this money that I'm giving or I'm spending more or less goes in the right direction. So, yearly report or monthly report, maybe it would be good, or
Well, Adam doesn't care, Eve cares. Both of them get the same emails. Both of them get the same notifications, right? Every time that money moves anywhere, Adam and Eve will both be notified. Adam's not going to take any action, just because Adam's passive acceptance. He's a great guy. Eve has a different story. So when Eve gets her emails, she reads them, and she judges them, right? Reads email. Adam doesn't have any spam blockers or anything, okay? He can't even filter his email. This girl takes it down to 0 every day, God, I wish, right? So she is going to actually be active. She's an active donor. She's not like David, who started out as Adam, became Eve, and then became a registered donor. And then a delegate, right? But she's an active donor, which is kind of the next step, right? So
I know that it does work.
Eve gets an email, and she does the exact same thing. She also donates to David, but she actually will receive that email, and she will go talk to David. So she actually needs a way to communicate to David. And this is going to be really important. And how that happens is going to change a lot as we evolve. Right now, maybe it's emails, right? Or more likely, it's probably through Slack or some group like that. I like the idea of opening a Slack channel for every campaign that we have at first so that we can actually analyze what's happening and whether or not people go to it and communicate on the Giveth Slack so we can actually observe this, right? Even though Slave Free Trade, for instance, has their own Slack. So Eve's going to be active. She's going to talk to the delegates. She's going to go on Slack. She's going to ask them questions. What are you guys doing with this money? Or what are you doing? Or maybe she'll be more like, oh man, how else can I help? I want to donate money, but I also, maybe there's something I can do in my area that I can help with, and I can even receive some of my money back because I'm incentivizing myself to do things, right? And it's not necessarily her money. She's sending a little bit, but then she also might work for the crew as well. So she's very active. And then, but first, of course, she goes through David, and David's just a delegate. David's going to send her to slave-free trade. And when she gets to slave-free trade, right? SFT, cool. Then she's going to have Brian, not Brain, Brian, who is going to be her new delegate, and she's going to actually talk to Brian. She's going to have a conversation, right? None of this happens on our smart contracts, but it does need to be mediated. Okay, so then her money will end up going straight to a milestone and being locked there until the milestone's complete. And of course, she'll get notified of her 3-day window that she can take money out. And then she will end up, leaving it in, we'll say. And Brian will get paid out, and then she will receive tokens. I'll still call them reward tokens, but I hate that name. And maybe one day Eve decides to, if it would be nice if we see that she's active, if that somehow we could recommend that she become a registered donor. Maybe we hide it at the end of every email or message stuff. Registered donor. And a registered donor is not that crazy, right? So it might sound like, oh my god, I have to register. Well, maybe we need a new name for that. Because all it is filling out almost like a Facebook profile. At least this is my thought on it, and I'm definitely open to suggestions. And honestly, you don't even have to do that. It could just be, I think that's enough. It could be less than a Facebook profile. I mean, it could be like a Facebook profile. When you open a Facebook profile, you fill out a description, maybe. But maybe some people just leave it blank. They don't put a picture, they don't do anything. It's totally fine. So Eve gets this email, she doesn't do anything, she's happy being an active donor. But David was an Adam, he was an Eve, and then he became a registered donor, right? Actually, we'll use someone else besides David. Who's another good name? Anybody?
That's right. Well, if we define actors, Adam, Eve, right? And then we define like a David too.
Well, we need someone in between David. Because Patrick is just like Eve, but registers. Decides to be more socially involved and have an official, but identity. Have an identity in the system. Because Adam and Eve, they don't have clothes, right? They're not actually going to participate in society. They just are Genesis. Patrick, however, he wants to play the game, so he's going to register. And God, I hate the word register, so we'll have to fix that. But he's going to have to give up his address, which is easy. All these guys give up their addresses without even thinking about it because they donated Ether, and Ether comes from an address. So Adam no one actually knows his name is Adam. They know him as 0x, AD, wow, we can almost get there, 3, right? And Eve is actually 0x E, what's a good, 5? You like 5?
Yeah, it's a Roman name.
Okay. ... right? E5E, right? Patrick used to be, 0x, I don't know, 9 or something, 9A7, right? But now he's Patrick, right? He goes from being just an address to actually having a name, which, and all of these guys actually have a history, but his history is attached to his name now, right? And what else does Patrick have? Does anyone want to help me out? I forget. What?
history. If he's done things before, he's gonna have some kind of tags that says he's done
Oh,
various
that's-
Yeah,
projects.
that's the history.
He probably wants to connect, right?
Like, attached to a reputation.
Alright, so that's right, connect.
He wants to connect with Facebook and stuff.
So a contact info.
But that's part of the registration.
Exactly. He has contact info, which might be, I'm at Patrick, right? At Patrick on the Giveth Slack. It's also probably going to quickly be, I'm, some random name like this on status.am.
Kasha or whatever.
Yeah, or Akasha. Sorry, we're doing the hackathon right now, so it's hard not to think of status. Akasha.
Or even Facebook.
Yeah, anything, right? He could just straight up give his Keybase account, and then boom, he's got all that information there. So, and then potentially he could throw down a deposit. I don't think he will though. But if he wants to be a delegate, I have a feeling we don't need to, and this is definitely something I want to talk about, on whether or not, if Patrick wants to become David, so I'll go over here, then
Put some money in it.
yeah, he might need to put down a deposit so that he has some trust and some credit.
Until he builds some credits and then
Yeah.
he'll take that thing off.
So now, some other things about Patrick that I'm trying to ignore is you might have a U-port. You might have like some reputation system. Maybe a Swarm City reputation system, right? Because Swarm City is going to do some hashtagging. They got some kind of game going.
And the identity. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the identity.
It's got all sorts of information. Oh, and the big one I am totally missing is
Nickname.
the description. No, Patrick's his nickname. I mean, the thing is, we're not going to ID anybody. His name could actually be Bill. He's just fooling all of us. Or maybe he's buried. I don't know. A description, like a profile, like I'm Patrick and I'm an alcoholic. No, actually, I just want to support alcoholics. Right? It's a different thing. So I like to support, Al-Anon. I like to support 12-step program. I like to support, Narcotics Anonymous. This is what Patrick's into. His donation profile. Like, what does he like? And this is really useful. This is why Eve should probably be like Patrick, because their delegates will get this information. And they'll be like, oh, that's what this guy likes, right? Because the goal here is to create a social platform almost around giving, right? To build a community so that, Patrick and David can have a little chit chat. Be like, yeah, man, I really want to support Al-Anon. I feel really bad for people who, I used to be an alcoholic and I made it out, and now I really want to help people that were damaged by alcoholism in their lives. And so then David's going to help him because he's deep in the game. Patrick's actually a CEO. He's a functional alcoholic, or he was, right? And so he did great, and he's got actual duties. Like, he's making $500K a year. Or actually, he's CEO of a large charity organization. Isn't that great? Making lots of money, and he can't just abandon that to actually start finding people to donate to. So he's going to entrust that to David. So David has to put down a deposit. Now I honestly don't want to do that, but I have this intuition that we're going to have to.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
I think that for strictly being in the system, it's not necessary, but for being promoted, announced, just for off-chain, for any off-chain publicity or any off-chain For us, the people that are not registered in some way, for us are like non-existent. It's like a spam.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like, one thing is, if we see from the smart contract point of view, I would say no. If we say from the Giveth organization point of view, I would say yes.
Absolutely. This registration has nothing to do with smart contracts, except for maybe the deposit part, right? Where's that
And
tape?
where would that take place, that information, where would that be stored?
That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure. I actually imagine that we would start just with a centralized server, which, you know.
I was gonna ask you, is it possible that at this point we also kind of attach Patrick to tags that he is interested about?
Sure.
He likes animals, he likes children,
Yeah,
he likes the education.
That's part of here,
So
right?
Tags.
Tags.
Yeah.
So, description, it'll include the tags that he's into, and maybe tags is its own category, right? So he's
Yeah.
got his description in words, and then he's got his like hot keywords, the
Yes.
tags.
Yes,
Okay, I like that.
yeah,
And that will make it really easy to do his little portfolio when we
Exactly.
get to that point.
exactly.
But how does he get the tags? Is
He
he,
puts it-
selecting them like he's in the animal category and it's like, wow, I like lions, elephants, or is he like, because text can be multi-layered, right?
Yeah.
It can be.
But you
Yeah,
can,
I just
you can develop.
I want to talk about tags.
Okay, let's talk about tags. We're taking a break.
So-
We're talking about Patrick and
Are we
tags.
putting that on the bucket or are we talking about tags now?
If it's how deep do we want to go in tags?
Just want to throw an idea.
Okay.
Okay? For me, when I think in tags, the tags has like two parts.
Okay.
Has the, let's say, the owner of the tag, okay, and the actual tag. So when someone has a tag, means that someone tagged him. Okay? Maybe everybody has his second tag myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I have like Jordi, and I say Jordi it's lions, Jordi animals, Jordi dog, whatever. Okay?
Okay.
But maybe there is another DAO, another organization that can tax. Okay? That's like another people that say, okay, I do my own structure and my own tagging, and then is this trusted or this with high reputation that will tag the things. And maybe you have the same campaign, but maybe you can have different tags from different persons. Okay?
Okay.
And you know, this is a kind of giving reputation. So if you get the tag animals from someone that's just somebody that's checking that, he can get a reputation part. So it's going to be like maybe Greece.animals. I mean that Greece tags him animals. So probably it's going to be a good reputation part of animals.
I mean, this sounds very much like what Swarm City does with their hashtags, right? Someone owns a hashtag, and they say, this is my hashtag, you know, and then, you know, we can do
but
this,
I'm just saying just to divide that into parts, okay? That's because I like the name. So it's like who the tag and who tag it, you know? And this all together, right? It's like a single unique.
So lions according to Grace and lions according to Wojtek will be two different tags.
Exactly.
Okay. So I like that. Right.
There's a system that you kind of define yourself. When you go and put your own tag, you put maybe, you know, animals, and then you put the A and an I, and then it gives you already what's in the system that is similar to animal or has the first three letters that are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see whether you need to build on that or, you know, create the first tag for it.
Yeah, and I definitely want people to be able to create their own tags, and maybe that just ends up as a bunch of like somewhat spam in our UI.
Yeah, but everybody, you know, you can create a tag, and this campaign is going to be tagged that. If you say animals, okay, animals will appear there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's tags that are registered in your user account, but then there's you tagging another campaign and saying this is for lions according to Patrick.
And what about, for instance, that the tagging has some kind of voting?
Okay.
So you can vote if this tag is well done and
That's
doesn't make sense.
The owner of the
nother-
tag. Yeah, but the owner of the tag can be a person again, or can be a smart contract,
It's an address.
an address, or a smart contract with all this governance system for adding it.
thinking this is like complex. Like if you want to do this tagging, which I agree that we need a way how to create the tags, but we also need to allow other people to create a tag. I don't think it's that like people would check who does this tag come from. They would check a total amount. So if 25 people tag this campaign as being animals, then it means something versus.
We'll see. This is capable. But at the end, we are not saying how we are. Here we are not saying how we are going to use the tags.
Tagging and causes are a very similar concept, and we're gonna have to pick one by the end of this. Exactly.
They're the same.
So would this project work if you didn't have tags, if you didn't have causes?
Yeah.
Imagine this disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay. Then maybe, I think that I like building outs and stuff, but just concentrate on like the minimum viable, that if you took it away, the project would suddenly stop existing. Oh, let's focus on that. And I'm not saying that we're wasting time, this is really good time. We're really concerned about tagging too.
Yeah.
But trying to bring to more of a world of concreteness.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I mean, in the end, by the end of this weekend, we need to pick one or the other and stick with it for the next 6 months, kind of. But
I don't know if we even need to settle on that yet.
well, if we don't settle on it, then we have such a distributed team that some people are going to be working towards tags and some people will be working towards causes.
We just put it in the next version.
And for the UI, well, we gotta stick one for. We don't even try it. It's not in the scope.
Yeah.
Well, that's the next topic, right? So
Yeah,
first we go
scoping.
through the stories, and then we'll talk about whether
What's
tagging.
coming out now and what's coming in 3 years or
And
2
I'm already happy that this tagging thing will be a short one. I'll kick it out. Okay, so we got David. We're going back to David, and he's a delegate, right? He registered. He did all the Patrick stuff, right? And then he actually has decided to go to a cause or a tag. We'll find out, right? We'll see. Who knows? But he's going to focus solely on picking other people, right? He's not actually going to send money to a place that spends money. David used to work for UNICEF, and he didn't really like it. He felt like it was too bureaucratic, and he didn't really like the way things were working behind the scenes. And he didn't like his 9 to 5 either. He actually wanted, go to Thailand and just hang out because he has some money. He doesn't need. He does this for fun, right? So he researches how to save the world. That's what he's into. But he doesn't actually want to do it himself. Right? He's not, and he just hangs out in Thailand, sips Mai Tais, and hangs out on his laptop. Okay. So David is going to be connected to Patrick. He's probably going to be very active on social media, right? He's going to be talking about all the different things all the different projects that are out there that he can participate in. He's going to be active in a lot of Slacks and status.im and Akasha. He's gonna be active in all of these things. Okay. And what does he do? He just tries to find people like Griff. Because why not? Okay, fine, not Griff. Oz. That's right, it did.
Oh, that's worse.
Yeah, it did. So David is looking for Oz, man, and Oz runs a campaign, right? Oh, this is getting great.
Ozzy.
No, it's Oz, man, the wizard. He's doing it. He's a campaign manager, right, and a delegate. So Oz is the next level. He was originally an Adam. He became an Eve. He quickly was a delegate, and because his whole target was always to distribute electricity more efficiently. So he's trying to make sure that smart meters are working really cool. Like he feels like there's a lot of wasted energy. He's an environmentalist, right? And he's trying, the way that he wants to stop global warming or whatever is to try to make an efficient market around electrical distribution. I know, he's a random weird guy, right? He's awesome. So he actually has a couple projects that he likes to donate to. One is smart, what do you call it? Smart meter research, right? And smart meter awareness, we'll say. And this is a small case. I don't know that's the best, but this is what Oz is into, you know? And so he has a project that he is supporting, and he says that in his description and on social media. He's always putting it out there on Twitter about how he's really excited for LA to get down with smart meters because there's so much wasted electricity because people don't know, right? And so he's supporting a project, and that project has specified milestones which were put out there, and he might even he's actually works for a company that will actually receive some of this money, okay? It's almost incestuous, right? He receives funds. So this is a really interesting use case because this is going to happen a lot. And that's why I was originally going to say me, because I do this, okay? Oz is a campaign manager. He's got a deposit. He has a delegate status. He has all this stuff. He's active on social media. But he also has a specific project that he himself receives money from. Maybe it's just to run the project and do the Giveth campaign, or maybe it's actually he's leading the whole thing, right? But either way, his project and his milestones are all accountable to a reviewer. And we're going to call this reviewer Rebecca. How about Bex?
Excellent.
Backstory, guys, maybe some other time. So now we need to talk about Bex, man, because Bex is going to be an adventure. Well, do you guys have any more questions about Oz?
I don't have a question about Oz. I have a question about the delegates in general.
Okay.
So, delegate is a registered donor.
Yes.
Who put down a deposit.
Yeah, most likely.
And like that, he becomes a delegate for one thing, right?
Not necessarily. No, not for one thing. He's a delegate in the system. He can be a delegate for anything.
So he can tag himself into any project and divert money from that.
Yeah, he can. That's a great one. David gets to choose projects to support, or choose tags, I guess, if we'll stick with the tag idea. All right,
and he can be in as many as he wants.
Yeah.
And can send all the money into we're going to destroy the world.
If that's a tag.
Yeah.
I don't think Giveth will allow destroying the world on our website. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Especially non-record.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, it could happen on the blockchain. That's the problem with permissionless innovation. But
I personally, at least when I was writing that, maybe I'm wrong, but I just separate very much a delegate and a donor. So even if a person is a delegate and is a donor, for me it would have like two profiles. One as a donor, because it's donating is something personal, and you have your profile of donor. And then like you have like a different profile, even if it's controlled with the same account, but you have a different profile that's a delegate. And you can even have different delegate profiles, but I check, maybe, I'm not sure on that, but for me it was like, it's like two different
worlds.
Two different worlds and two different persons, okay? And what I donate is one thing. What I delegate, I'm not. If I'm the delegate, I cannot donate nothing. I just delegate.
Right.
Okay. And if I'm a donor, I'm a donor. Okay. Of course, with the same account, I can be a delegate and a donor, but it's like I have two profiles.
Yeah, well, in the end, if, David, as a donor, if he wants to delegate his own money, I mean, it's almost silly for him to do that, because, I mean, technically, he would say, hey, I'm a donor, you know, and I'm gonna
Money
donate.
laundering.
What?
Money laundering.
Oh, well, okay, but I guess this is an interesting.
Setting
idea for
incentive
charity.
for other
Doing
people.
good, why not?
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, he can he's already in this game, he can donate directly to Oz. He doesn't need to make himself a delegate first and then donate to
But
Oz.
when I was talking when we talk about the balloons, for example,
Yeah.
it's not the same transferring air from one balloon donor to another donor. That I'm just doing a normal transfer and just giving value to you, and giving to a delegate. If I'm giving to a donor, it's like I'm sending money to you. Okay. If I'm a delegate, if you are a delegate, then I'm delegating to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
one
definitely
you have the
different.
power and the other one you have received it from somebody.
Yeah.
So it
So,
should not be
I mean-
delegated by you.
When David sends money to Oz as a delegate, it's a very different thing than when he donates to Oz.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
So but maybe I don't know if that makes sense in the user interface of how we call the things. But for me, it's.
I think it does. I think that the delegate is going to need his own user interface, and the donor is going to need his own user interface. They're going to be two different pages. I mean, and it's going to be like there's
And two
registered.
different profiles in the system. You have the list of delegates, and you have this, and the list of donors, and you
Yeah.
this.
I mean,
Well, it's like, in Facebook you have different accounts, right? So
Yeah,
you talk
but you
as
have-
one person or you talk as the other person. And
Exactly.
They
No,
have different
It's,
characteristics.
it's different. It's like in Facebook you have your personal profile and then you have a group
a page.
yeah. page and you're a manager of this group page. And you can post as a manager of this group page. This is your
Thank you,
delegate
Wojtek,
profile.
that's exactly what I meant.
But like
in
you're
those
still
words. Yes, exactly.
you.
But you are
Right.
different, two different.
You are those two persons.
Yeah.
Okay, you are two profiles.
That's exactly
But-
right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what about if I have another profile?
Yeah, you can have
You
many.
can have
You can
17.
have as many.
I mean,
They will
yeah,
be either delegates or donors.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
for me are like different pieces. You
Mhm.
cannot be with the same profile a delegate and a donor.
No, but I can have as
Attributes
many
will be only
profiles
two
as have
sets
addresses,
of
right?
attributes.
well, sorry, what did you say?
Can have as many profiles as I have addresses, and addresses are unlimited.
Yeah, no, or even with one address you can have even if you want many profiles. With this one address you can be like
I-
three
I
donors
think- I
because you
think-
want
I
to
think-
separate for whatever.
I think what we're saying is, or at least what you're saying is that you would like to have a delegate like pie chart, right? And then a donor pie chart as David. David would like to see, where his money is going, that he's donating, but then he also sees where his money is going, where he's delegating. And they're two separate, never mixing processes. And I would agree. Okay, but we gotta get to Oz, right? Because Oz is just the same as David. And he probably, as a delegate, he can delegate some money. If David sends him this, he doesn't have to put it into this project. He could delegate it off, right? So because he has all of these functions too. I mean, it's just like we're adding functions as we go, right? And so now Oz can, donate to Giveth, because he loves Giveth, But he's got another love. He loves this thing too, right? He doesn't make money from Giveth yet, but he will probably. But either way, so right now he's making money off of the smart meter thing. So he can do both things, but when he actually puts things in the projects, he might actually have. I don't know that we'd make a pie chart, but this would almost be like a new pie chart, right? Projects and milestones that he invested in, right?
The three figures that we talk, okay? Donors, delegates, and projects.
Yeah.
Okay? Of course the projects have the manager and the reviewer. Okay? That are-
But so here's the question: does the campaign have this? Because Oz is only one delegate in this campaign. There's also, Who else is a delegate?
Judy.
Who else is in your company?
Jason.
Jason. Okay, so Jason is also a delegate here, right? And he's probably like CTO or something. Right? He's like a badass. But is he gonna have a separate pie chart where he puts all of his money, what projects he's allocated, the funds that have been delegated to him for, and the funds that have been donated to him for? Like, and is he gonna have a separate, or is it only for the campaign that has this? And the delegates actually we don't track that.
Yeah, but here, odds probably will have a donor profile because he may also give a donate,
Yeah.
okay? He will have a delegate profile, okay? He will and there will be a project of whom he will be the project manager.
Okay.
Okay, so but the objects that we have here is, okay, we have the donor profile, we have a delegate profile, we have a project profile, and in this project profile, he will be the project manager.
Wait, so okay, sure, he might be the project manager of this, but what if Jason sends money to this project?
Yeah, Jody, but a thing only, to be a delegate, so you need to register as so why not to put everything on the same thing? So I can be a donor and be a delegate also. So register as a delegate, and so in the same page have just everything.
Well, you definitely
I don't know if it makes sense. But
you have both of these pie charts on the same page, but you can't combine them, right? Because like these are things he donated to, and this is other people's money.
No, but I see it's just in another section.
Yeah, exactly.
As a delegate, which things, no?
Well, I mean, I think that in the end it will be, oh, I'm this person, this is my name, and I have this ether address and this ether address and this ether address, and all these addresses combined will create this graph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it should probably find out which is your money that you donated and which is the money you delegated. That's something you can find out. So you can create a chart out of it.
Yeah, and the thing is that we're going to track a lot of things eventually, right? So what if he delegates to projects and they're constantly being taken back by the higher up, right? The donors that actually put him there are rejecting his delegations, right? We need to track that because that's part of his reputation. And same with Oz here. Like, what if he keeps donating to projects that Bex keeps rejecting? That's something different, right?
Yeah.
That's a different thing to track, and it's important to see those differences.
Yeah.
Because
That's
this
for
guy's
sure.
trying to spend money
Yeah.
on projects that are failing, and that's really bad. This guy is just not communicating very well with Patrick. Like they should be a little closer. He's sending Patrick's money to like Ethiopia, and Patrick's about like Alcoholics Anonymous. Why is his money going to Ethiopia? And, that's a different thing than us trying to blow money on smart meters, which is completely what a waste of time. Right? Okay, I have an agenda. Okay, so now we have Bex, right? Unless we want to go deeper into that, I think this is again something that's out of scope for the next session or for the next sprint, we'll call it. Maybe a marathon.
Version.
Yeah, the next version. Okay. Do we want to go deeper in this, or do we want to leave it a little ambiguous?
So Bex.
Okay, Bex. It's been a while. Years. Okay, so Bex is a reviewer. Now this is totally different. This is so different from the rest of them. Here we have a nice stepwise progression. We have Adam, Eve, Patrick, David, Oz, right? Oz has been all of these things. Patrick, they've all kind of stepped. Bex, she doesn't even know anything about Giveth, really, right? She doesn't necessarily have to. She does have to have some kind of profile, basically just an address, right? That is B, E.
So it's a wallet.
I don't know what to say, right? Yeah, she has to have an address because, she's a reviewer, right? But Bex doesn't have to have anything else, really. Because a reviewer could also be an oracle, could be a DAO. I mean, all these things could have could be that, right? These delegates can be DAOs and stuff, but I think it's less likely than for a reviewer. So maybe they do need some of these things, like you gotta, when you register it, maybe we still make them put down most of this stuff, right? Or give a description and all this stuff. But the history,
How does she end up being a reviewer?
she's chosen by us or whoever the project manager is. When someone builds a project, they have to say who the reviewer is.
Who's the manager and who's the reviewer?
Yeah.
When you create a project, you will have to define all the name, the description of the project, whatever.
Okay, but the reviewer, does the reviewer need to have a particular characteristic, like some maybe knowledge about the project? Or,
No.
No?
No. I mean, in Oracle, if the project is literally doubling the amount of money that's in this campaign, it's just a smart contract. And I don't necessarily think that if you just put an address with no description, that should send up red flags in our system, right? That should be like, whoa, what the hell's going on? They can still, maybe our UI doesn't allow them to do that, right? Maybe the UI says, no, you must fill in a description. You must do these things. And that's something that we might want to think about. But if they skip our UI and go to the smart contract layer, it's just an address. I mean, all these guys are just addresses, right? So you can technically skip all of this on the smart contract layer. But I think especially for the reviewer could be president of Somalia, right? And this guy, he doesn't need to do all this stuff. Maybe he has somebody do it, but he's the president of Somalia. All he's got to do is verify his key. I'm the president of Somalia. That's his description. And it's like, I'm just trying to get federal aid here, and this is how we're going to do it. It's a Giveth campaign. So, he's not getting federal aid. He's just going to sign off on whether or not this happened, because he doesn't receive money most of the time.
But he allows it for it to be.
Yeah, he's the one saying this happened or it didn't happen. This project is continuing on, or this project is a failure and we should not do it anymore. His main thing is he cancels projects and milestones.
So that's why it's also for that
Cancels.
person needs to have some kind of a relation to that project. Because I mean, if they're sitting, far away, doesn't know whether it happened, and everything is being sent over a photo that you don't know if it. That person should be able to actually verify that it did.
Of course.
Yeah, so for instance, if the reviewer just dies,
Yeah.
that's another way to replace them.
Well, and that's a major issue, right? That's where we have an arbitrator, which is the next user, but that's just us. It's gonna be really simple.
What I would love to see, if you have like a project in Thailand, and you're building something there, and then you need to have a reviewer. The reviewer will appear to you according to the location, and you would have like a list of reviewers that I can actually go and make that project.
Or a reviewer can also be a 1 out of 3 multi-sig.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of reviewers coming from not so much a list, but a chat room. Okay, a chat room of people that are talking to each other, and like, somebody's really active. Maybe it's like a David or an Oz that has their own little project, but they're like, in the system, and they're like, yeah, man, I'll review you. I'll check this out. What's up?
Okay, so maybe this is an opportunity because you said that the reviewer is the toughest thing that we need to define, right? And we're talking about having to need to build a culture because even though everyone loves permissionless and everyone's free, you really need a culture to get anything done. What if we make the reviewer we make the reviewer like a job description, and you kind of have to we choose a bunch of reviewers, and we're like, hey, you can choose any of these reviewers. But if anyone wants to become a reviewer, just fill out this thing and say why you should be a reviewer, and we kind of control this. I don't want to control is a strong word, but we promote this pool of reviewers that's just, a subset of people that initially we found ourselves that represent our values or something like that.
Right.
We kind of hire them on, and then we let the project managers choose from this list. And if they're all over the world, then it's like, yeah, it makes sense to choose the one that's next to you, like in Thailand. This guy is a great guy. He submitted his stuff, so we kind of vouched for him, so he can be a reviewer. We know that he read our laws, at the very least, maybe we sent him a test, and he passed. He got 15 out of 20 on the laws of what we want from Gritty, or, sorry.
I mean, what's it called? How do you spell it? Okay. No,
Yes,
so,
just throwing it out there.
well, so the issue is that some of these projects are gonna be very specialized. And it's like, the smart meter one, right? Whether or not you got smart meter awareness out there. I mean, maybe anyone can do it, but what if there's another milestone that's like, did we design the smart meter correctly, right? And is it passing the specs? And, at the beginning, at the beginning right now for slave free trade, I'm their reviewer. They're gonna have to prove to me that, that they actually achieve their milestones. And that's a good reviewer, because I've told them many times I'm gonna reject their shit if they don't get it done. Okay, because it's important to me that our first charity is actually achieving their goals.
Yeah.
So I'm motivated in the right way, and I do think that it probably makes a lot of sense to require reviewers to have a lot of these things, and maybe even deposits, right? I mean, it could be that reviewers have to be registered donors, or they have to complete the registration. Even if they don't donate, I think it makes sense, especially to start, that we make people fill out this stuff to be a reviewer. And even if the reviewer is an oracle, someone has to put up a description and put up their address, probably show that their shit is verified on Etherscan. Right? I don't want just bytecode out there. I want to know what the smart contract says. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think reviews can be something easy as, for instance, you need to check if something is done, and in some date, so it's in Somalia, for instance, and it's committing a code that it's a hash, and the way. So if the project is good, you need to review this code, and if it's bad, you review this code. And you just send by text or by email to another person, and with this code, it could be unlocked. It's a way, so I'm always finding ways to go off chain. So I think it's important.
And this opens up to a lot of social engineering and stuff.
Okay,
But
social engineering is a gun on your head.
Yeah.
Also.
Which is definitely not very creative social engineering, right?
But it's useful for bad days.
Yeah.
For me, I would keep it very, very, very simple. Just the project creator, just define an address. That's the address of the reviewer. And the project, if you want to sell the project, if you want to spread the project and you want the project to be funded, so it needs to have a good reviewer. So the project will show. So you will set an address, and you will prove that that address belongs to somebody or a set of somebodies, or it's multi-sig, where it's him and him, or an oracle or whatever. But it's the job of the project, the definition of the project, to prove that this reviewer is going to be a valid reviewer.
Yeah.
It's good that, of course, that if we can set a pool of reviewers that are trusted persons. If we don't set it, I think it become anyway. The people is going to think so. And it's easy to facilitate to the projects to have this this kind of preset people that that's fine, okay. But at the end, the last word is from the project owners, and he decides if he chooses one of these, or he put an oracle, or he just create a new one and show that he's going to be good.
The project owner and the person collecting the milestones or whatever, these guys are the people who pick the reviewer, and the donors and delegates are the people who send money to the project. Now, of course, this opens us up to a lot of fraud, right? Like, what if the delegates are all actually the same person with different identities, and the reviewer is the same person with a different identity, and they're all the same person, and they trick Adam, who's passive, to, they somehow get access to his funds, and they go there. Well, then that sucks.
That's why at some point, maybe, here is where Adam should be notified when there is something.
Well, Adam gets notified all the way through, he just doesn't check.
Yeah, but you know, it's a kind of special alert that say there is a scam in there. Okay, there is a fraud in there. So
Yeah.
you should be aware, because maybe Adam don't care if the things more or less goes okay, but if there is a fraud, if there is an alarm of that kind problem he cares, and you know that he would care.
Of course, yeah, scam alert, you know, your money has been scammed. But see, that's scary, because do we want to be, we're not, as Giveth is a centralized organization, we're not incentivized to do that. We don't want to tell people when they were scammed. Right, I mean, because
that
that's
would take
not,
also ownership that we are actually
that-
kind of managing that or
exactly,
or
what?
that's
My money got scammed out of Giveth, man,
Yeah, but
fuck it.
imagine that Adam, for example, receive a special notification, okay, or something, when he's funding a project that a lot of people is just quitting on that money, or
Yeah.
that. Okay, so it's, I just fund a project and more than 50% of the.
That's a different notification.
That's a different notification.
Because
That's
he
like,
needs to
okay, hey
own
guys,
the decision on that.
your money is in a
Right.
project. You're still able to remove that,
But
and think that
everyone
most
is
of the
taking
people just have removed that. Just take a look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
If you want to keep there, but at least take a look. It's something is happening there.
yeah.
so this is interesting, special notifications. Can we put that in the bucket list? Because I think that's really valuable, and that's a service that we can provide. But in the end, if Adam wants to donate to Oz, just like, I mean, you know, it really sucks because this is a big analogy to the ICO system, right? And I've seen some major scams in the ICO world, and they still get millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, and this sucks, and this is a problem with our system, I'm not gonna lie, this is a huge problem. But it's also a problem that's in the charity world today, right now.
I would say more. It's a problem on decentralization. Okay, decentralization is not a war for Adams.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a war for active people.
Yeah.
So, and active people means getting deep, getting in, being part of the community.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why I don't like the Adam profile in the first chance. So you can be more passive in the sense that you need to spend less and you delegate more. Okay, but maybe it's good idea to Adam just it's little democracy. Okay, I give the money to just one guy and I just control that guy. Okay, I don't give too many things. It just control.
I know, we had this conversation, remember? I don't want partial donations, right? I don't want one delegate sending like parts of people's donations for this exact reason. There's a lot of value in trying to keep interpersonal connections. And that's this whole time, you know, Bex and Oz have an actual relationship. They talk to each other in the real world sometimes. These guys are both in LA. Actually, Bex moved to Boston, but they're both in LA, right, a lot of the time. So they can have, and they know each other in real life, and they're having a conversation. And Bex is also active on social media, and other people know her, and that's why she's a good reviewer for this project. And because they know that, you know, even though they're friends, that they actually that she won't lose her reputation on this, right? And as much as I like trying to automate a lot of things, I mean, and that's important. I still think that the most important thing is to build communities around causes, and that's like the goal. And that a lot of this review process and stuff should be happening on Slack, on Status IM. It should be us sending pictures of them out there passing out flyers. He should be sending, you know, live streaming like talks that he's giving in libraries and stuff that everyone can see on these things, just like we are right now. This is why it is so important to me that we live stream this, because we got money from Adam, Eve, Patrick, David. We've actually received money from all sorts of people on our Slack, and some of it's just small, some of it's big, and I want to prove that we're using this because there's a lot of expenses this weekend, and if we don't live stream this, how are we going to prove to the people that are actually paying for us to all fly here and eat this food, you know? So, like, we are held accountable by the fact that we are actually, you know, we are an open source charity, and we're gonna put out there, hey, we spent money on this. And right now, I think I'm the reviewer, right? So that's kind of lame, right? But maybe everyone with a Giveth token, maybe the reviewer is going to quickly become DAOified, and everyone that has Giveth tokens could actually vote and reject this thing and be like, dude, your expenses are ridiculous. What, you know, this is why we didn't go to Geneva. We came to Berlin because it's cheaper, right? Like, I don't, you know, the expenses are ridiculous. You guys didn't get anything done, and in fact, for all I know, you guys just hung out in an apartment and had a party. No, we actually have a live stream. They can see we're planning this meeting, and that's what this is the system, you know, and this is why it's so important for this kind of transparency, right? And then the reviewer, who cares who's the reviewer when we have this kind of thing going on? Okay, so let's see. There is more to say about the reviewer, I'm sure. I don't want to get off of it yet.
I mean, basically the reviewer, two problems I see, okay? It's, what is the delegate? Because delegate can get shut down at any point by whoever donated the money, but the reviewer can't.
Yeah.
The reviewer is specific to the campaign, so if it's a scam campaign, it's a scam reviewer.
Well, okay, so there is one check on the reviewer.
Yeah, good.
Just that.
And the only, I don't see the reason why anyone would want to be a reviewer. What makes them want to be a reviewer? Spend their time.
Thank you.
I was about to ask.
That is actually the
What's the
other
incentive
part.
structure for the reviewer role?
Yes, exactly. So I just need a full on another piece of paper. Oh, good. This will be perfect. Basically for user stories. Okay, so the incentive structure for the reviewer is going to be exciting, guys. Okay.
You're making it up as you go.
Absolutely. I have no idea. This is like the biggest question in Giveth, and I've literally sat down for an hour and just like thought of ideas. I wish I had a piece of paper that I have no idea what country that piece of paper is even in anymore. But oh, it was in London. I know exactly where it happened. Okay.
You know where you left it.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. Okay, so different story though. And man, I really am coming up empty. There's so many options and none of them are good. So what do you guys think?
Let's
have a
take
quick.
the first one, he gets paid.
Bex gets paid by Oz
Yeah.
to be the reviewer, right? So, okay, first, I want to say the first one is Bex works for free. Because I think this is going to be the most successful and common one.
It's almost like volunteering.
Exactly.
Yes, but
Right? So
yeah.
it's like you're doing this for a cause. It's a
Yeah, but
volunteer.
we're talking about incentives, and if he works for free, he doesn't need
Well,
yeah,
get
it's like,
incentivized.
yeah, think on community leaders, for instance.
Right.
Yeah, that wants to things get done well. So I think it's a kind of perfect.
So they
reviewer.
they appreciate some kind of recognition, right? Because they're kind of doing this volunteering.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get paid by slave free trade to do the thing, right? Maybe I have internal incentives.
Yeah, you should get paid by the donors, not by the free trade.
Well, that's gonna, okay,
So-
so this is gonna be, that's another issue though.
So you put as a bullet point reputation. So what if we plugged into like in a future scenario like Colony.io's API for like reputation? Like here's another place where you can gain reputation that you can export to another service or
I
platform.
like that. I think that's really good.
But that's like way stretchful.
So-
But it's a good piece because
Yeah.
it will link to Colony at some point.
Yeah.
So,
And will there only be one reviewer per project?
Yes.
Just one?
Well, for a project, there is one reviewer. but that one reviewer could be a multi-sig of 6 people, one of 6 multi-sig.
Oh, okay.
Right? But there is one reviewer, and that reviewer could be multiple humans, but it is a list of people. It's one address. And that's important because it's really difficult to do anything else.
Imagine that the reviewer, imagine that there is like another campaign, this is like the reviewers campaign. Okay?
See, this is what I was thinking for the DAO.
This is very linked to what OJ says about the community of reviewers, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so
We can link on that.
I want to get to that one last. Okay. Let's look at the problems with the most obvious ones, and then we'll get to why we probably have a DAO for reviewers in the eventuality. But that's we'll put that up here. Okay, so God, I wish my handwriting didn't suck. Okay, so now we have so Bex works for free most of the time. Reputation, maybe she wants to build herself up as a reviewer because that's a profitable business, right? Or maybe she has some internal incentives specifically around this stuff happening, like she's a donor, you know? And, you know, kind of like how I would have wanted one of our main donors to often be our active, you know. I would love for people who donate big to Giveth to be our reviewers because they have the best incentive, right? Unless, of course, this is still a problem because what if they actually are just trying to get us to spin our wheels so that we don't achieve? What if like UNICEF becomes our biggest donor and then they actually also become our reviewer and they just want to shut our project down because we're competing with them in their game, right? So I keep using UNICEF. UNICEF is great. All the people that work for UNICEF are great. I'm so sorry. It's just like the biggest charity I can think of. And in a way, we're competing with them. And maybe their internal incentives are wrong, and that, you know, they could actually use this as a way to just screw us, right? Thank God there's arbitrators, which I'll get to one day. Okay, so let's go back to Bex, where it gets paid by gets paid by Oz. Well, this is how regulation works right now in the United States of America, right? So, as much as I love how the regulatory system in the U.S., there are some fatal flaws, which is basically Bex works for Oz. What is Bex going, when you work for somebody, are you trying to, you know, piss them off? Like, do you want to, I don't know if I have a way to plug this in.
Don't worry.
Okay. You know, this is, Bex is directly incentivized to pass this project. So that's kind of shitty, right? And then what if we do, Bex is paid by donors. Well, this has the opposite incentive structure, because how does that payment work, right? And how does this payment work? Does Bex get paid whether or not she votes yes or no on a project? Obviously for this one, right? And same for this one. Probably gets paid voting yes or no. But isn't it in her best interest to just vote no every time? Because then she probably will get, oh man, like I'm really protecting you guys, you know? But like, well, for us, he did a great job. Now he doesn't get paid for it. Because, well, she can actually become a reviewer for another campaign and just keep saying no, you know? She's Dr. No. And it doesn't, the incentive is structured wrong for both. Now, what if they both pay, right? And like half and half? That could be an answer, right? But in the end, that's the same. That's actually the same as being paid by us.
I thought of like a small percentage of the whole project, like what's actually in the project for, because you have labor costs and time and such,
Yeah.
and a reviewer is giving his time, and he's probably traveling also or something. So
Yeah.
these people probably need money to operate.
Oh yeah.
Like it depends on the project. Like I think the project should supply the proof, of course, because they're always at the source.
Yeah.
But for some things that might not be possible, so the reviewer has to go somewhere, or he has to, you know.
In the end, sometimes they'll be like, we're not going to enforce one model or the next, right? The reviewer gets paid or not, and that's a thing. But for our beginning culture and scope, we do kind of need to pick one and pick a style. I definitely want to pick this one to start, right? But
Which
like,
one?
oh, reviewers work for free. I don't want a reviewer to be paid by them, and I don't want the donors to have to throw money to a reviewer necessarily. If it is a milestone, you know, which is actually what I was going to do for blockchains.com, right, in our vault audit, is I was going to put a little milestone for Ray, who's reviewing with me, and they're auditing a little bit, but they prefer not to. They actually prefer to work for free, because they're going to probably do an ICO one day, or who knows, right? And there's also legal issues with accepting money from a smart contract, and it's just easier not to, right? So it's not worth it. So here's the issue: if we just combine the two, it's still basically from Oz, because Oz just adds that to the top. You know, yeah, it's just added into his budget, and it doesn't actually. They're the one doing the work, and in the end, they still end up with this sort of relationship. And then what? So then Bex is still incentivized to say yes, because maybe she wouldn't get the milestone that Oz is putting for her, right? And you know, you still have this. You have the same incentive issues if you do both.
What if a reviewer it's a position, it's a paid position from Giveth that actually, you know, people apply for, it's recruited for, it's known, you get experience, you live over,
Just
you
because
work part-time, you work full-time, but you are a fully dedicated person to do that, and you take it seriously, so you have a series of things that you handle.
Before we get there, what if every milestone has a dedicated amount of this is going to go to reviewer, no matter what he's going to say?
Yeah, 1% goes to reviewer, but that
not 1%.
Okay.
Fixed amount.
So fixed
and
amount.
you can even say
0.5.
Oh, who wants to review my milestone?
0.5 goes to this reviewer, but that itself incentivizes scam projects so that reviewers can get paid, right? No, this was a scam. No, this was a scam too. Oh my god, so many scams.
You mean the more projects, improve
but
the
that's
more
what
you
I'm
get,
saying, you know, but if it's a job, it's like, you know, you've
Yeah.
been recruited for
Yeah,
it, there
we'll
is some reputation, some experience that you can.
There's lots to lose
Just
also. You're talking about a very responsible person. I mean, if there's something wrong, like a reviewer can have, it seems like there can be multiple repercussions without the reviewer even intending on scamming anybody, or just like being on the other side. You know, he's being scammed basically by a bad user base, for example.
But I mean, I think that initially, you know, you want to preserve the integrity of the project, so therefore, you know, having somebody that you know will do the right job will be ideal.
Absolutely.
But I think
transparency is the biggest friend here.
But if you want to think of the future, this needs to be a DAO, definitely.
Yeah. Well,
this needs to be self-executed, and it needs to have parameters which the project people need to make sure will comply in order to get the approval, to get reviewed, to the okay, and then get the money.
Yeah.
So eventually, but it needs more evolution. It needs a probably different type of inputs coming from various sources, and we probably don't have them all now.
Yeah. Well, what were you gonna say, Jay?
I thought I had something else to say, but no, it's not.
Okay. Okay. So
what constraints are on the reviewer role? Like, so for example, can a reviewer come from the organization itself?
there are no constraints. In the end, some projects are going to have very technical things. For instance, we have a project right now that is auditing our smart contract. Okay, who is going to say whether or not an audit was done correctly on a smart contract? Well, Jordy's the one getting paid. He's the project.
He's the project
right?
manager.
Adria,
Andrea?
Jordy, Danny, Jason's gonna get a tiny little bit, you know? Who knows who, maybe Barry wants to jump in there, you know? Yeah, exactly, right? So, you know, Barry's got too many things going on.
Is it?
But the thing is, who in a reviewer pool has the ability to do that? Very few people. And what we're doing for that specifically is we sought out somebody who could review this. And there's a couple Solidity devs in LA that are incentivized through internal incentives because they one day want to use our vault contract and they want to work with us, right? So they want to make sure their incentives are aligned with the reviewer role, which is this smart contract needs to be audited correctly, right? So that's the biggest thing, is that it doesn't matter how it's not so important how, as much as it's aligned with the reviewer role, right?
So, I mean,
their incentives.
How is this gonna work though? Like how can we assert or make the claim that the reviewer knows how to do their role and knows like what things they need to touch on per charity, right?
So,
like I see it being like you know, like we need some sort of like market for the reviewer role itself, and having that be like reputation based, and like again like you know, like so I have these certain skills that would help me like, you know, make the claim that your project is on the milestones it needs to be and stuff like that.
I mean, this is the thing, this is why it's really, like, this project and their milestones, I would say milestones are like 30% of how important what a project needs to do, and the reviewer is 70%, right? The reviewer is like the majority of why people should donate to this project. The reviewer has to be, when we're saying, hey, you should donate to this project because number one, this is the reviewer. Number two, here's the milestones. And I think that's a cultural choice, right? That we have to promote from the beginning. That because in the end, we are not, as Giveth, it's not our job to say whether or not a project is good or bad. Our job is definitely to filter projects, as in, is this actually making the world a better place? Okay? And is it following certain guidelines, as in non-violent, non-aggressive, you know, like actually, like, you know, something that's not going to get Giveth shut down. No, you know, these are important rules that we have to follow. But we act as kind of like curators for the DAO, in my opinion. You know, we are identity oracles. We say that the reviewer has to be this person, and the delegates are these people, and we try to enforce that. We're not going to say whether or not this reviewer is good or bad. That's not Giveth's role. That's the donor's role.
Can I ask a question? It's just because I will start very late in this whole discussion, but why is the reviewer there in the first place instead of like the user-based system where, because they are the reviewers of the reviewer. Even if we put a reviewer there, the users, the donors, will be the reviewers of the reviewer, because what they think matters in the end. Because like, I did not like how Greenpeace spent my money, so I quit my donation and never want to hear from them again. So
so that's, for example, I mean, that to me is the ideal reviewer, is all the donors, right? As long as there's a diverse donor group.
There's two problems with that. Number one, if we have that, then Adam is going to get screwed because he's not going to be part of the DAO. He's not going to be part of it. So he will just effectively give up complete control, and there'll be no oversight about how this fund is spent. And the second problem is that it will slow you down considerably, because you'll have to wait for 51% of the DAO to vote in order for people to get paid.
Of course, generally for reviewers, there is at least what we have right now is we have passive acceptance again built in, which you don't like. I think we actually had a conversation about that.
Yeah. Especially when we have a reviewer.
Yeah, when we have.
They should be. Yeah, but I'm okay if it defaults to yes, as long as there's a time frame in which they can go.
Yeah.
But then there's like those situations you have to
And also, let's say that, you know, it looks like a diverse group of donors, right? But it's really just one guy who sent 80% of the money here, and then a bunch of atoms, you know, maybe 2 atoms that sent the other 20%. And it looks like, oh, 80% voted yes, and only 20% didn't vote. Like, this went work just great.
But it's working.
Well, yeah.
Because
so
his was the largest share.
Of course.
But if he's 5 people or 1.
But now you're vulnerable to 51% of time.
Yeah, and now they just stole Adam's money and they didn't actually do anything. All they did was put up a fake website and they started doing stuff, right? Now, but this is the thing, and this is going to be the major part of scope, okay? I'm okay with, I mean, I'm not okay with a little fraud, I don't want to say that, okay? But unfortunately, we are taking a step in the right direction and allowing for the free market to interfere here, right? Well, I'm going to go into what a DAO for reviewers could look like, and we'll build that together. But honestly, if we start from here with this completely transparent system and build up, there's going to be a lot less fraud than there is currently in the system today. We can't expect to eradicate it. That cannot be in our scope. And we will never put anything out there if it is.
You just have to make sure that it doesn't happen often, right? Like
Yeah.
if one happens, then it's one enough, and then you can.
We can't make
continue
it easy.
Getting it. The
Yeah.
system will detect it.
The only way to prevent fraud is the community.
Exactly. The culture.
Yeah.
The culture,
Yeah.
the Slack channels,
Yeah.
lots of people have, and even then it's like, oh, you could do this. That's a lot of work, you know, it's a lot of work to fraud a community like that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about really quick this DAO for reviewers concept. What's the beeping?
Would
Can you open the dishwasher?
Oh yeah, it's our dishwasher. That's so nice to have a dishwasher. Okay, so a DAO for reviewers. I really like this concept, right? So maybe we have like trusted reviewers, trusted people to start, right?
Yeah.
And they are actually the ones who pay reviewers to review, right? So the money does not come from this system at all. It's kind of allocated almost randomly, or like, you know, randomly, question mark? You know, I mean, we're gonna have actually, you know what? I don't want to talk about this. This is definitely not in our scope for the next like forever, and we could build off this. Maybe let's do like limit it to 5 minutes. What do you guys want to see in a DAO? Jordy?
I probably one way is not having one DAO, but having like many DAOs, or like, I don't know if the DAO is the right word. Maybe imagine that we have these trusted reviewers. They are centralized by himself. They choose a reviewer, okay, and they are like different companies, okay.
Yeah.
And then there is like a competition in reputation. So a project manager, a project creator, a project owner can choose a reviewer for any of these companies, okay. They can, you know, it's like a free market, and they can choose on them. And of course, the project is going to be good or bad if they belong to this company or to this other company, because they have like a trust reputation. So if the reviewer chosen by this company doesn't act good, it will affect the reputation of this company, and probably in the future, the people is not going to contract these reviewers. So it's a kind of
This sounds like Colony's decentralized resolution organizations, the DROs, basically.
So
Which
it's
is a concept from libertarian stuff.
libertarian stuff with this.
Dispute, yeah, absolutely. Dispute. It's a dispute resolution, or it's instead of having a monopoly on justice, like the system of laws that we have, having a distributed justice system, and you have different companies that compete in a free market for whether or not this reviewer is good or bad, right? And maybe reviewers have deposits, then they place deposit to this, and it's kind of like a third-party certification agency.
You can do with this. You can do interesting things. For example, imagine that you have four companies, okay, more or less. With and maybe you can create like a multi-sig of 4 reviewers, one of each company.
Oh yeah.
Things like that. So it's interesting to have this pool of companies, of this set of companies. I would say 3, 4, 5 different companies that can provide a reviewer and propose a reviewer for the projects and provide a reviewer. And of course, they are paid. You know, these reviewers should be paid. They will have like a kind of fee. Probably, I would not say 1%. I think it depends very much on the kind of project that you are reviewing and all that stuff. And it could be even here a free market there. And but yeah, you can do things like that. They should be independent and should compete in some way. Here, the danger of this, as you know, these companies act like they are free and some together. No, they are collaborating.
Yeah.
They
eventually become a cartel.
Cartel and so on. So that's the problem. Should be protected in some way.
Or that you be like the miners, right? And then
Yeah, but the thing is that but
and,
if this happens, if this happens, it always maybe they will the reputation will go down, and maybe will appear another pool,
Another agency.
Another agency on that.
Because to me, this is third-party certification, right? This is slave-free trade, but it's just a different like subset of a third-party certification.
Yeah, this should be built, and you know the thing of that is that this is not a non-for-profit organization. This is a for-profit organization. So probably this should fit that in Aragons or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's a great thing. Aragon could be our solution here.
So for instance, if you put money to build
Or colon.
okay, for instance, building, yeah, do you don't want just reviewers? Do you want a company that knows how things should be built?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's not everybody.
maybe you have a multi-sig with a reviewer from one of these agencies and this other guy, right? And it takes two of two. Right, you have to have a little bit of authority in this. But the big thing that I don't understand is where does this agency get their money? Because okay, so now we just basically bureaucratized this exact same issue if they're getting money from us. We just threw a bunch of bureaucracy, but we have the same incentive issue.
But it's a part of the budget.
Yeah. It's very different to be paid or to be specifically paid for checking or unchecking or being there. And like if you just like Grace proposed, a job has a salary, and you get this amount for being part of it.
I'm skeptical, guys, because to me this is just adding more bureaucracy, and that's kind of against the goal of Giveth.
But this is an option. This should be an option of the project creator.
Of course.
Project creator can choose one reviewer of these companies, or maybe he chooses just Vitalik. It says, okay, guy, Vitalik, this is the address, and he looks a picture there. Here is a picture of Vitalik, and he's Vitalik, and you know, he's a reviewer of our
Vitalik will actually do something.
Come on, I don't read the reviewer of the company.
That'll be one of the ones that just goes to 7 days and then gets auto approved.
But you know that's who choose. For me, it's that who choose.
No, the question is who pays, and I don't like it. I don't like Oz paying for the reviewer.
It will be us will choose if we choose what's the best way to choose.
I don't want to pay for that reviewer. Well, yeah, no, absolutely. Everyone will choose the best way, and personally, I think that this should be its own campaign. Right? This is something people donate to.
It's not a campaign. This is a company.
Yeah, well,
probably it's going to be a campaign, but it's fine.
This is the thing. That's why I want more like this. I'm not a big fan of this being a company. I think it should be an option, and it's a free market option. I absolutely want people to be able to make money in the system.
It's true. The very principle that we're trying to kind of fight against is the fact that we're saying charities are hold this leaky bucket, right? That they get all this money, they do good things, but a lot of this stuff doesn't go into the direction that you want, right?
Yeah.
So if you think of that, what we are creating has to be against that.
Yes, but the friction from a classic.
But what you're saying is that actually, essentially what we're saying is that if we bring a reputable entity into the reviewer role, that entity could be a charity.
Yeah, I think
right?
that.
And then you could say the charity, the cancer-free charity is the one who's going to review this, and you could say, yeah, they are reputable. I believe I trust them.
Yeah.
So you see what I mean? It's a little bit of a it's a paradox here as well.
Yeah, but what's nice of this system is that the project can choose that, and maybe he choose a charity of reviewers, maybe choose a company of reviewers, maybe choose a specific person, a known person that acts like a reviewer. For example, it's very interesting for the reviewers. Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton can be a reviewer. Why can be a reviewer? Because
she.
Paris Hilton.
Oh, Paris Hilton.
Why? Because she has a name. You know, she has a big reputation. So if she's a reviewer of a small project, she can be a very, of course she's not going to be the reviewer. Probably she's going to choose another reviewer or whatever that's doing the job. But if she puts her name, she has a lot to lose on that. So maybe it's a good reviewer. So it's another option for the project.
I think that's the best payment, honestly. I think that reputation is what we want to incentivize in our culture in the short term, 100%. I don't know that we have necessarily a way to track that internally with tokens or whatever, but I guess we do with history.
Can
Well,
we
we
just
have to
create
deploy.
tokens?
We have to deploy a new blockchain for like reputation tokens and.
Well, we don't need a
I don't know.
blockchain, but we definitely need a token.
Yeah, a token that allows them to say, okay, look how wonderful this reviewer is.
Yeah, and part of that's in the history, right? Like we can do that without even deploying a token.
And even
we can do that externally.
But but you were saying, like if you have this project and it's like, and you have this great reputation in Giveth because you're the best reviewer ever, and I have a project, I would love for you to be my reviewer, right? Because that will say that my project is trustworthy.
Yeah.
So
except for, when I'm like, okay, Brian, you're taking up a lot of my time. Better donate to Giveth, right? And then things get corrupted. So there's never going to be. This is what I came to in London while I was just crying. All right, it's like we'll never find a good solution for reviewers. There isn't one. Guys.
Yeah, so we must think. Okay, we can criticize actual organizations right now. Okay, and probably they have a lot of overhead and a lot of things that needs to be fixed for sure.
Yeah.
But they are adding a value. Okay, we cannot forget that they are adding a real value, and the real value that they're adding is this reviewing part.
Yeah, and reputation. They're putting their reputation behind that.
Yeah, but
with the lack of transparency, they don't have as much reputation.
Sure, but yeah, yes, and of course, probably to give this value, they take a lot of money. So they take a lot of money, but this value they are adding that.
Absolutely.
So and that's one thing that's a good
for the sake of getting started on the project, can we just say the reviewers could be anyone in this room for the next year?
Yeah. Well.
And then because I'm sure that the landscape will change in a year from now, and we're gonna have probably
I'm sure. And it's a free market. The projects will choose what are the right ones, and we will see the ones that goes okay and the ones that are not going so okay. So I'm not worried on that.
We will get the reviewers to be this in the first iteration version.
What's really nice is when Jody told me about one of X multi-sigs, right? Where it's like, it could be like 7 of us on a multi-sig, and any one of us can actually reject it. Because the way this is built, the way the system is built today, is that if none of us do anything in 7 days, it's just accepted. But if we have a 1 of 7 multi-sig, and any one of us could pull out the red card and like, get out of here, dude, canceled, right? Then done. Like, it makes things a lot easier.
I think we should go that way now, and then see what happens.
We can have our reviewer multi-sig.
I agree that right now is not a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so the one last thing on user stories that I want to talk about really briefly is arbitrators, which is also kind of the Giveth multi-sig, right? So, but this multi-sig is actually right now, I think it's a 3 of 7, and I expect that to get larger, at least this number, and this number I expect to stay the same. I like 3.
Barry? What's the number?
3, oh yeah.
What's the number?
3 of 7.
So it should be 4 of 7, it has to be greater than half.
But why?
Well, because there's a race condition. Let's say that we have 7 people in the group, and 3 of us want to do one thing, and 3 of us want to do another thing. That means that whoever's quickest makes it happen. They win. So in that case, what you want to do is you want to have 4 of 7, which means that the majority have to say something.
But what happens when people lose keys or
When someone loses their keys,
people aren't active, people don't know how to actually get to their wallet?
Then you should keep up with
The alternative to the majority thing, to defeat the race condition, right? I think what you're getting at is that there's a default. And if 3 people, whatever that default, 3 people disagree with that default, then no matter, all it needs is 3 to say no, not 3 to say one versus the other.
Yeah, but that would mean we'd have to update the multi-sig, which is a whole fucking thing.
Oh yeah, no, we're using the Gnosis multi.
We use the Gnosis one. Does
Thank
that have
God.
that kind of functionality?
Well, it's a lot easier to work with. Yeah, it has most of the functionality.
I agree, I think we should have 4 or 7.
Four is a pain.
It
It's
depends.
Yeah.
It
So
depends on
let's
what
do 3
this
or 5.
action is.
Let's
3
do
or 5.
3 or
Yeah.
5 is much better.
3 or
Yeah.
5 is.
But what does the arbitrator do?
What do you mean?
Well, that's important, right? Like whether or not it should be 3 of 7 or whatever. We just totally accepted that 1 of 7 multi-sig is great for the reviewer.
I think
That's because it can only say no.
Yeah.
At
And
this
so
stage,
this is the same issue.
I would say that at this stage, at the actual stage, probably it's not gonna be this next year. Okay, but at the actual stage, it's better 3 or 5.
Absolutely. When we get full on, when we actually get full on, and people know how to use wallets,
We
Okay.
may move to 4 to 7.
yeah. But this multi-sig that we have right now, maybe we make it different. We make Giveth arbitration multi-sig. But
Or a tokenized.
the arbitrator steps in when there's a scam.
Okay, and what power do they have?
They have the power to cancel a campaign, a project, a delegate. They have the ability to erase people from the system.
But can they take funds? Can they move funds?
Yeah. Well, they
They
can
could effectively.
they can stop permissions. They can't
Whatever
move
hasn't
funds.
left the system.
Funds are stuck in a vault.
Can they
Whatever
grant
hasn't
permissions?
left the system.
They can grant permissions.
So if they can grant permissions, then they can move funds.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes more sense just to say that they can cancel and it goes up the chain.
Yeah.
At least from what I've heard from you.
What I would say is
So like
right
on
now,
So then maybe we need to separate those roles because I honestly really think it's important to have a very easy way for someone to step in and say stop.
What we could do is have a delay and say 1 month.
Well, that's what we have. Well, okay, so this is the thing. So we have currently in our setup, the arbitrator is just the owner of the vault, and there's 2-day delay before payments can come out, and they can cancel the payment.
Yeah.
Right, but sorry, Jordy.
for me, right now, it's 3 out of 5 in the near future. So when this goes
full running, maybe it should be 4 out of 7. Okay?
Okay.
And in the long run, it should be 0 out of 0. So it should not exist.
Yeah, of course.
So that's for me that's the steps. Okay. While we are in this stage, 3 out of 5 at least more than enough. When here starts being a lot of millions dollars running in the system, it should be 4 out of 7 or 5 out of 9. And we need to think that at some point this should be 0 out of 0. So
I mean, it's just really hard for me because in practice, multi-sigs are impossible. In practice, multi-sigs are so hard.
yeah, but that's why. But that's important because this arbitrator, we should not use it never.
So I think that we need to be able to separate the arbitration roles because there needs to be another person that can step in, like almost an escape hatch caller, and be like, whoa, hey, Oz, you're scamming us, man. This has got to stop. That's like the security guard, right?
You see, I'm reluctant to add so many roles to the system because it makes it more complicated.
Complex. Yeah.
Well, these are the roles we will hope
But also,
to get rid of.
Okay.
why are you saying that multisig is difficult? Because the UI for the multisig right now is difficult.
Because
but
humans
if
are
it is in the
difficult.
system,
Yeah.
it's like a voting thing.
Except
So
the thing
you
is,
say yes.
not everyone
or-
votes, right?
You need to check exactly what's the transaction that you are doing.
Yeah.
If you want to run multi-sig in the right way, that I never. Well,
I've never seen anyone do it.
Okay, it's.
I agree.
It's hard stuff.
Oh,
Okay?
I agree. But like, if you're only using multisig for something you can do in the system, you don't need to verify transactions.
Well,
If you trust
You do, because somebody is sending it.
Yeah, so I always validate the transactions people send me before I confirm them.
Everybody used to validate, I used to validate, and you when you want, but I'm sure, have you validated all the transactions that
All of
run in
them? No.
No, neither have I.
Yeah.
No, but
I
what
usually
do you-
make sure one of us do.
What does the arbitrator do in the system? Cancels milestones.
Can cancel
Or
milestones,
pushes
but
them
also
forward.
if a reviewer, this is where we get where there's probably a need for it to be a 4 of 7. If a reviewer keeps rejecting a milestone that was actually completed because let's say that Bex broke up with OJ's good friend and doesn't want to actually be friend, like doesn't want Oz to get any money, sorry. So then if a reviewer is misbehaving, Oz should get the money. And so they can actually say, okay, yeah,
So
we can make this happen.
in that case, what I think should happen is that the owner should send the money back to the vault and they should make a whole new multi-sig. They should make a whole new campaign with a
to get the
different
money.
controller. Yeah,
Okay.
that I think it should default to going back and then
Yeah.
come forward.
Okay, I like that.
Simpler.
Yeah,
safer.
and yeah, safer, because I agree, I don't want people sending money places, that's just not acceptable. On the security side.
Yeah, and as well, it gives people a chance to opt out, especially if there's contention about whether the reviewer broke up with this guy for good reasons or not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe that guy, we're not gonna get into it. So, okay, so then we could have, so the reason that the 4 of 7 multi-sig scares the hell out of me is because of the DAO and whoever you are. You should, just as well as I do, that wrangling like 6 out of 11 people is suicide.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
give me a
totally
rope,
agree.
please, I prefer.
Yeah,
right?
I totally agree.
Especially if they are in the foundation.
Yeah, if they're in the foundation, they have other jobs, they're
And if
doing
they don't
other
want to be
things.
doing it,
Hey,
they're not getting
this
paid.
is one thing, and then there's no, they're not getting paid, there's only a risk for them to do something wrong, there's no benefit of them doing something right,
Yeah.
and then we have the exact same scenarios, right?
Yeah.
But it's mitigated a lot if we're only slowing people down instead of speeding people up.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if it's possible or makes some sense. Something like if we don't agree and just some way to change the main controller of this contract and give the controller of this guy. Like, okay, I don't like that, there's a fork, you control the fork now.
I don't understand.
So it's
Like resigning your position? In a multi-sig?
resigning your position as creators.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, we don't agree with that. You now have the control of everything, of your stuff. So okay, it's
Well, it's
your
kind of
thing.
like what happened to Matchpool, right? So Matchpool had their CTO guy that was just like, whoa, I don't like what's happening here. I'm just throwing out the red flag. I'm out of here. I'm resigning my position. And he didn't actually have to remove himself from the multi-sig. He's probably still on the multi-sig. I don't know, right? Because they probably weren't going to. They were probably dealing with other stuff. But culturally and politically, he resigned and he made sure that whatever happened with the funds for Matchpool was, he was not responsible for. Now, it turns out, I mean, it's debatable, but it sure seems like that guy was actually in the wrong. And the rest of the Matchpool guys were doing it right. But who knows, right? Either way, this is a lot of this stuff happens off chain. Okay, I want to move on.
That's great, good job.